Live, on air, and online. This is WSAV News 3 at 6.
For the second day in a row, more major developments in the race for Chatham County School Board President. Good evening. It is Thursday, May 8th. I'm Tina Tynes-Shaw.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Thanks for joining us. First, an ethics complaint. Now, candidate David Simons has been sued for libel.
It stems from the same email WSAV uncovered yesterday, and News 3's Dave Cartoonan shows how it may cause problems for a number of current school members. In our top story.
3, 2, 1.
As members of the Chatham County School Board break ground on a new Hess Elementary School Thursday, the business of awarding the contracts to do this work comes to the forefront in a new lawsuit and raises difficult questions for some of these same board members. In a suit filed in state court Wednesday night, Michelle Gervais of Satori Construction accuses school board president candidate David Simons of libel, false and malicious attacks to destroy her and her business's reputation. The key exhibit, this email, where Simons writes Chatham School Superintendent Thomas Lockamy and all 5 Caucasian members of the board, saying about Gervais, quote, "This needs to end sooner than later where these unscrupulous minority contractors hold the school board and the legitimate contractors over a barrel," unquote. The accusation that Gervais tried to use her status as a minority and woman-owned business enterprise to negotiate better terms with a contractor bidding on the new Otis Brock Elementary School project, and that the contractor, Barton Mallow, dropped out of the bidding when they couldn't come to terms with her. But in Exhibit A, Gervais' lawsuit produces a letter from Barton Mallow to the board, explaining they dropped out of the bidding because, quote, "the cost to provide our construction services will jeopardize the project's stated cost limitations." The lawsuit alleges Simons' motive comes from working as a community relations contract employee of Reeves Worrell, a Savannah construction company and competitor. But through this email exchange, Simons also exposed conflicting relationships with the board members he's running to serve alongside. Simons' campaign contracted District 7 board member Jennifer Lambeth's husband to create the Simons campaign website for more than $1,200. Lambeth maintained by phone she's not supporting a candidate in the school board president race, even though her husband gave $101 back to the Simons campaign. And District 1 board member Julie Wade and District 4 board member Sean Katchmar both contracted Simons for just the type of consulting work that Simons appeared to be doing for a contractor when he wrote to them. Wade has paid him more than $4,300 in consulting and other fees, Katchmar more than $3,600.
The fact that he's being paid by someone or not doesn't influence the way I look at an issue. If you want to make a conflict, I guess you can. If that were the case, then business in Savannah wouldn't happen. I'm Dave Cartoonan, WSAV News 3.
Both school board member Julie Wade and the plaintiff, Michelle Gervais, declined comment. David Simons did not return our phone call for comment.
This next question will be tailored for each candidate based on the things that I've been able to glean on my own and from some of the questions that have come in.
Well, ethics was a big topic at last night's debate for student board president, as moderated by our own Dave Cartoonan. The lottery system and Common Core were also hot topics ahead of the May 20th primary. We do have that entire debate for you on our website, WSAV.com. Just search School Board President.
Congressman Jack Kingston today casting his early vote in the hotly contested Republican Senate primary. 4 other Republicans are running against Kingston for the seat being vacated by retiring Saxby Chambliss. Kingston is ahead in one poll but trails in another. But the candidate says polls mean less than broad-based endorsements.
But I know this, that we have the endorsement of over 300 elected officials. We have the endorsement of Sean Hannity, Herschel Walker, Steve Forbes, and the United States Chamber of Commerce. We feel good about where we are.
Well, Kingston has served in Congress since 1993. His opponents say that may be the issue, that he's now part of the problem in Washington.
It is like something out of a movie. A woman bitten by a shark while on vacation with her family, but that was the reality on Hilton Head Island yesterday as a North Carolina woman was attacked just feet from shore. Low Country reporter Brittany Shane spoke to her in an interview that you will see only here on News 3. Brittany joins us now from Coligny Beach.
This is about how deep Kimberly Pop was when she felt something bump her, something that would change the course of her vacation and the course of her life. We should warn you, the images in this story are very graphic.
So we were right in front of the lifeguard. I was like knee deep in the water. All of a sudden, I felt this thump. That's the best way I can describe it, like a thud, big bump on my leg.
That's when Pop looked down and saw a 4-foot shark clamped around her left leg.
I looked the shark right in the eye. His nose was up, his teeth were into my flesh. I immediately looked at my kids, screamed to everybody to get out of the water. There's a shark on me.
After the water cleared, Pop said she took a deep breath and had to deal with the jaws around her foot.
My first thought was, how am I getting him off? And I hit him, and luckily was able to keep my balance. He released, and I was able to run up to the sand. The lifeguard was right there. She was wonderful.
Pop is on crutches, bite marks on the top of her foot, and stitches holding the bottom together. But she says adrenaline kept her from feeling pain until she was out of the water. And then she realized what happened.
I realized, oh my gosh, I got bit by a shark. And when I saw the blood, I think that's what gave me the sensory, oh my goodness, okay, I'm in pain.
She says she doesn't have any broken bones or torn tendons that she knows of. But what she does know is that one day she'll be back.
I think I will eventually, but right now I'm taking a little break from the water.
Now, as for Pop, she's in really good spirits this attack, even saying that she's going to go out and buy a lottery ticket because the chances of winning are lower than being bitten by the shark. Now, it's not known what type of shark actually bit down on Pop, but the last confirmed shark bite here on Hilton Head Island was back in 2006. As you can see, it's not keeping people out of the water. Reporting live from Coligny Beach, Brittany Shane, News 3.
Statesboro police say he attempted to lure a young girl into his car, and now they need your help tracking him down. I want you to take a look. The suspect is allegedly driving a red Nissan car with Nissan in white letters on the side. Police describe the man as tall and skinny with blonde hair. The incident happened last night at the Stadium Walk Apartments. Now, if you have any information, you are asked to call Statesboro Police at 912-764-9911. A suspect accused of trying to out a CNT informant on the web, while investigators say he was carrying drugs inside his own car. Can you help bring him to justice? News 3's Andrew Davis opens this week's Fugitive Files.
Jabbar Williams has a lengthy criminal history. He's on probation, and now he's wanted by the Savannah Chatham Counter Narcotics team for what they say he put on his Facebook page.
He pointed out someone he believed to be an informant for the CNT, going so far as to cite specific cases that he believed that he had been involved in.
And according to detectives, he wasn't done there. Williams went from the web to the streets.
He actually had gone into this individual's neighborhood and approached his juvenile children. There was 4 people in the car who we learned later that were armed. He spends the majority of his time in Garden City, possibly in the area of Chatham City Apartments, possibly along 3rd Street, and then he could also be back there at his previous residence on Mell Street.
If you know where Jabbar Williams may be, call Savannah CNT or Crime Stoppers right away. Their number, 234-2020. And remember, if your tip leads to an arrest, you could be eligible for a cash reward. If Jabbar is watching,
you don't have to keep looking behind your back. Just contact us, contact me personally, and let's just get this taken care of.
For Fugitive Files, I'm Andrew Davis.
Well, you can check out all our Fugitive Files reports on WSAV.com. Just hover over the News tab and click Fugitive Files. OSHA inspectors were back on the scene today in West Savannah after a 2-alarm fire late yesterday. It happened at American Packing and Crating. One employee suffered minor burns and told authorities he was filling a propane tank when the fire erupted and quickly spread. Well, News 3 investigated, found out that company has been cited by OSHA for violations in the past. WSAV's Joanne Merrigan is here now with details. Joanne?
Yeah, that's right, Russ. A spokesman from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration told me that inspections in the past few years did turn up some repeated violations, including storage of flammable liquids. Several inspections were conducted by OSHA after complaints. After yesterday's fire, we're told OSHA went to the company today. OSHA says a serious violation is where there's a substantial probability that death or serious physical harm could result from a hazard. In May of 2010, there were 5 serious violations, including an obstructed exit route and no fire extinguishers near propane tanks. In July of 2011, there were 3 serious violations, including failure to protect a diesel storage tank from struck-by hazards and no fire extinguishers near the storage tank. In May of 2012, there was 1 violation. And in January of 2013, 2 violations, including an issue with a propane storage tank. OSHA says there have been 3 repeat violations, failing to protect diesel storage tanks from vehicular traffic, blocked exit routes, and no fire extinguishers near diesel storage tanks or propane gas containers. In all, the company has been fined a little more than $13,000 since 2010. OSHA does say in most cases the fines were lowered after meeting with the company, which can indicate problems were fixed or were in the process of being fixed. But again, OSHA inspectors did return to the company today. We called the company for a comment, but did not hear back. Joanne Merrigan, WSAV News 3.
Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words.
But what will this view of Tybee Island reveal to researchers years from now? We'll explain.
And a pleasant evening ahead with temperatures around midnight, 70 degrees, and wake-up temps in the mid-60s with some patchy fog. We're going to have a complete forecast as well as what you can expect for Saturday and Sunday coming up in just a few minutes. But let's get you some traffic here around the coastal empire and low country. We do have a slowdown. This is going to be around portions of I-16 westbound. The traffic accidents, we have one with injuries, unfortunately. Bull at East 34th Street, also 64th Street at Habersham. Traffic flows, believe it or not, an improvement. I-16 westbound right now at 40 miles per hour. It was even slower than that 15 minutes ago. There is a slowdown northbound on 95 around the airport with traffic at around 40 to even 50 miles per hour.
Powered by Hargrey Live Titan Radar.
Streak going in the coastal empire and low country.
Yeah, 90s every single day this week. Earlier this week we hit 94, but right now here's a look around Tybee Island. A beautiful, beautiful day to head to the beach. 82 degrees in Savannah, but for Tybee right now in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. Earlier today around downtown Savannah, 88. But for tomorrow, if you have any plans to head to the beach, should be another nice day, but some more clouds will start to work their way in from the west. So let's talk about the setup with our satellite radar composite. Looking good for your Thursday evening. Massive dome of high pressure in the western Atlantic is bringing us a south to even southeasterly flow. Now, in the meantime, that's keeping all the big storms away from our area. For Texas, Oklahoma, all the way into Arkansas, actually a couple tornado warnings all the way around southern Minnesota. So no big storms in our forecast. However, a slight chance of rain enters into our forecast for Saturday and Sunday. Temps right now, 85 in Savannah, 90 for Statesboro, even Vidalia in the lower 90s, and across the rest of the southeast, very warm, very spring-like from Mobile, Alabama, all the way towards Tallahassee, Florida. For tonight, it's going to be mild, mid-60s, upper 60s along our immediate coastline. With an increase in some lower-level moisture, some patchy fog will be possible, and a few clouds will roll in from time to time. So with our futurecast hour by hour, notice how as we approach sunrise, notice that gray shading that you see develop. That's some patchy fog. But as quickly as it develops, it will burn off. And notice all that cloud cover mainly at the mid to upper levels. That's going to roll in from the west, I'd say around 2, 3, even 4 in the afternoon and continue for the rest of the evening. Now, with the additional cloud cover in our winds, instead of from the west, more out of the south and southeast, temperatures, although still warm and downright hot for some of the area, won't be as hot. So we're not going to be 93, 94, more than likely 89 to even 90 degrees. But for Hilton Head and Tybee, you will barely be into the lower 80s. So let's mix it up here. A lot of people have kind of forgotten we have the tropical weather season here just a few weeks away. And for the Eastern Pacific, their season starts on May 15th. We have been tracking a broad area of low pressure, which is not expected to develop. It's going to continue to bring a lot of moisture around central Mexico. But I am going to be watching this area of moisture and some showers and storms just towards the northeast of Puerto Rico, which right now is not expected to develop. Marine forecast for tomorrow, the waves at 2 to 3 feet, visibility at 10 miles, and the high tide around 5 o'clock during the late afternoon into the early evening hours. 7-day forecast, 89 degrees for tomorrow. To recap it for the weekend, more clouds on Saturday, upper 80s for Mother's Day, Sunday. And then on Monday, 88 degrees, a 20% chance of rain. Your Tuesday's looking good, 88, mostly sunny. And then it looks like we will have a good chance of rain for Wednesday into Thursday. Right now, the models kind of disagreeing on which day it's going to be. So hopefully they'll come into better agreement and we'll pinpoint that forecast even more for you.
Okay, thanks, man.
You bet.
A tidal wave of change could be coming to Tybee Island.
Find out next why the future may not be such a day at the beach. You're watching News 3 on your side at 6. Well, it is the perfect day to be at the beach, but experts say if steps are not taken in the coming decades, Tybee Island streets will be flooded and its sand washed away.
That's the reality of sea level rise for many low-lying coastal areas.
News 3's Greg Alberg joins us now live from Tybee with this special report. Greg?
The ocean is what makes Tybee Island so beautiful, but what you can't see is that it's actually an unforgiving predator threatening to slowly drown these coastal communities. But what you can't see is that over the next 20, 50, even 100 years, experts say the problem will become impossible to ignore. The Manusi name has been a Tybee Island staple for 200 years. Over time, Billy and Brenda have watched floodwaters grow in their neighborhood after storms. But today's high tide is tomorrow's normal tide.
I want it to be better, but unless you can raise this island up 20 feet, there's nothing else that can be done.
And as sea levels continue to rise, the high tide will reach further and further up onto the upland, and we'll see greater and greater flooding.
It's part of Dr. Clark Alexander's job at the Skidaway Institute of Oceanography to study things like sea level rise. Want to see what he sees? This animation shows the impact of an expected 1-foot rise in just the next 25 years, 3 feet or more with a normal tide by 2100. Finally, this is what happens at storm tide with 3 feet of sea level rise. Only a thin sliver of the island is immune.
With water levels like this, does that mean that islands like Tybee are even going to be inhabitable?
Not necessarily. There are a lot of decisions that will have to be made in the next 50 years.
But planning must begin now, and 2 people on Tybee that are leading that effort are Mayor Jason Bielterman and City Councilman Paul Wolf.
If we ignore sea level rise and fail to be proactive in planning for a 20, a 50, a 100-year window, our grandkids, instead of riding beach cruisers from bar to bar, are going to be paddling kayaks down the streets. That's how serious it is.
One of the biggest challenges is going to be keeping that rising water from washing right into the streets. Now, Tybee Beach already has these dunes which do that, but they come in patches with gaps in between. Now, city leaders want to fill in those gaps by having sand dunes that wrap all the way around the beach, creating a protective barrier against the ocean. Tybee will ask the Army Corps of Engineers for help with that in the next 10 years. This is the back end of Tybee Island. It's the lowest and most flood-prone area.
This is where the Manusis live. Right now, their neighborhood experiences up to 2 feet of floodwater 3 to 5 times per year. Well, over time, by the year 2100, that could increase to up to 5 feet of floodwater, meaning that this road would be submerged, water in houses, several times a year.
The Manusis want their family name to carry on this island another couple hundred years with the help of Tybee leaders.
I hope they do that. Our mayor has, and our council has done an awful lot to really make this island better.
Dr. Alexander says that sea level rise is accelerating. You see, the water levels grew only about a foot over the past 100 years, but over the next 100 years, they're expecting to see more than 3 feet growth. Reporting live on Tybee Island, Greg Goldberg, WSAV News 3.
Well, assuming the challenges Greg mentioned are handled, will Tybee Island still have a beach? Already, beach renourishment costs millions of dollars every 7 years. And what about getting there? Highway 80 is the only way on or off the island. It sees some tidal flooding about 4 or 5 times each year.
With just 1 foot of sea level rise, it's going to be underwater 45 to 50 times a year. And with 2 feet, it's going to be underwater over 80 times a year.
Mayor Bielterman says that's the primary concern. One of the Georgia Department of Transportation has not allotted any money for at this time.
You're watching WSAV News 3 on your side at 6.
We'll be right back.
We got to go. We're out of time. Actually, apologize for that. Have a good night, everyone. We'll see you at 11.
From all of us here at WSAV, for making us your time for news.